'cause I love this land. It takes my breath away.
Welcome back to Texas 10. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Showtime Steve.
He wishes. And he says he's Showtime Steve because today we're going to talk about Showtime. Civic theaters. You know, we travel all across Texas, and one of the things that is so interesting to learn about are the different opportunities in the different towns and small towns. And you might be surprised at the level of talent that you can find across Texas. Mm-hmm. So today we have Kelly MacGregor,
Hi.
who is not unfamiliar with talent across Texas. So welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited. And so why don't you introduce yourself? And we are with Waco Civic Theater, and tell us a little bit about Waco Civic Theater.
Yes, I've been the executive director for about a year and a half, and it's been a wild ride. We discovered that we were almost 100 years old when I first started.
Wow.
Yes, because in 1925, some of the well-known families of Waco got together and said, hey, do we want to do a little civic theater together? And they started the Waco Little Theater in 1925, and that was Mrs. Foster Fort. That was the William Fort's
Of the Fort House
daughter,
fame,
yes, of
right?
the Fort House,
Okay.
exactly, daughter-in-law. So they began that September 9th as our official birthday. That was their first interest meeting, and then they opened a play in November of 1925.
Okay, and so this is interesting to me because they survived so much. You run into the Depression almost immediately, and then World Wars.
So they took a little hiatus for the war, and then they came back with Dr. Paul Baker from Baylor, revived all the original members of the Waco Little Theater, and that's when it became Waco Civic Theater. It was in the 40s. Yeah.
Okay, so and so you and then the thing that I think they survived the most, depressions, world wars, but changes in the media environment.
Yes.
So in 1925, films were just beginning to be a big thing.
Yep. Radio is still big,
right?
Yeah.
And so, like the play was the thing, as they say, but now the phone is the thing. And so, tell us a little bit about the challenges of a civic theater and.
Well, it's one of those things that will always last. There's something about live theater that is unlike any other form of entertainment, because we can go to the movies, we can sit in that chair, we can have a whole experience on that screen, and we are diving right in, but we are isolated in a lot of ways from the people on that screen. Whereas in live theater, it is an electricity that happens in the room that is unlike anything else. And so everyone kept saying, well, live theater is going to die if radio is really popular, if television is really popular. You have these entertainment forms coming into your living room. Surely people will lose interest, but humans are never uninterested in other humans. We are always fascinated.
I like that. Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things I love about community theaters and civic theaters is they draw from the people in the city. Yes. We had an experience when we went to the Fandango. Are you familiar?
No.
And that was the one time where Steve Howen said, I feel inept. Because you had these ranchers, it's an outdoor musical about the community in Albany, Texas.
Okay.
And so you have these ranchers and the people from the city, and they're all, not only are these guys coming out, they're roping and they're talking.
They're actually running cattle, live cattle on live horses, which I couldn't do that.
Incredible.
But then they pop off the horse and they start singing. And they're like, it's Roy Rogers right in front of your face. And I felt, I can't sing, I can't rope, I can't ride.
And so he looked at me and said, I feel inept.
Right.
But with community theater, that's what I love, is tell us a little bit about the talent and how you find your talent. for your productions.
Yes, well, we host auditions, and for every single show that we do, we have 6 main stage. We have a big summer production right now that actually lives outside of the normal season. So our big summer production is The Prince of Egypt. We host the auditions, and we just get people coming out of the woodwork, and it's incredible. We also have a full children's program, and so many kids have gone through that program that go on to make wonderful careers for themselves, and they're all right now even film and television. Jackson Kelly is one of our alumni from the Waco Civic Theatre. Yes, and it's just wonderful. You never know who is living 3 doors down from you.
Well, I will say I am the head of school of a school here in Waco, and you all come to our school, and so I have seen that with our own children, and just the exposure to theater. And there's so much about theater. I mean, just from memorizing the lines, getting into a character, and oftentimes people are so shy and reserved, and then they'll get on the stage.
Suddenly be able to.
Awesome. I'm always amazed by that.
But learning from theater is the list is endless about learning empathy, understanding humanity in a different way, understanding emotional intelligence, and trying to figure out, because you literally have to walk into somebody else's shoes and become that person. So learning empathy is just a must, right? And just how to interact with others, goals, how you pursue those, and just the applicability is incredible. I do a lot of, well, not so much anymore now that I have this job, but I would teach at the executive MBA program at Baylor University, just storytelling in a business context. How does this matter?
Right.
And how do you present your information in a way that is compelling to an audience and makes your point? Yeah, and lands your client, or helps your board understand who you are and what you need and all of that. Yeah.
I think that's so unique. I'm a lawyer in my day job, and you learn a trial lawyer, and you learn a lot about presenting a narrative and a story arc to a jury.
Yeah.
And all of us old guys will get and we like to say narrative and whatnot, but then there's people that actually do it, and we have to humble ourselves a little bit to say, oh, maybe they know what they're talking about, because there is something about being in a theater, the reactions that you have. I mean, I want that reaction from a jury. A businessman wants that reaction from a customer. Yeah. And somehow it seems like magic in a theater, and I think sometimes we try to reduce it to a science as opposed to the magic or the art.
It really is both. It's both that true science. This is studyable. You know, we can have empirical studies on this, but it's also a felt thing and an anecdotal thing. It is there's nothing like it as the actor when you're standing on that stage and you get to connect with your audience that way, and you go out into the lobby afterwards and people are sobbing in your arms because you made them move from one position to another, and it's just such a unique ability and way to do that in a live theater context. Yeah.
Well, and so we were talking about this off camera because we travel all over, and generally on weekends, which is a lot of times civic theaters, especially in the smaller towns, it will be basically weekend shows. And people that travel oftentimes end up late in the evening in their hotel room. Talk a little bit about what you could get out of going to a civic theater in a town you're not a part of.
Right. Well, you'll get to see some local talent, but you'll hopefully get to see a story that, like I said, moves you. It moves you from one place to another. But you just never know what is out there and what kind of experience you can have. Again, sitting in front of our hotel room television, we will be entertained on some level, right? But there's something really, really special about getting into that space.
Well, and again, I think it gives you a little bit of flavor of the community.
Exactly,
you know?
knowing
you
who's
get
there.
To see and you meet someone, you have to sit next to someone, and I think we lose a little bit of that in our world today of interacting with people, and live theater not only allows you to interact with the stage, but with the person you sit next to.
Exactly. And then you jump when they jump, and you cry when they cry. And you hand them a Kleenex if they didn't bring one, right?
Well, really just sad shows. You talk about crying.
Plenty of happy shows.
Well, we like the ups and downs, right? One of the things I have noticed, because I love taking pictures of theaters, and mostly
the
film,
buildings,
the buildings themselves, but so many movie theaters, old movie theaters in Texas have been redone where they will show a classic movie one night a week, but they also have the stage now. And so
Well, we were just in Abilene, and their theater is beautiful.
the Paramount.
Oh, if you haven't seen it, it's gorgeous. They've redone it, and in fact, they were doing Aladdin as we were there, but we had to leave before we could buy tickets and go. Our own Hippodrome here in Waco.
They're incredible. Yeah, architectural marvels quite often, and they wanted that to be part of the spectacle as well, so that it would draw you back again, because you wanted to be in this magnificent building with other people.
And magnificent's a great adjective because it does give you a feeling of sort of Broadway or a bigger that you wouldn't expect in Abilene, Texas, or even smaller places, Electra, Texas.
Our theater at Waco Civic Theatre is internationally known. It is published. Isn't that funny? It is published in a book. It was published back in the 80s, but it was internationally known back in the 50s when it was designed, because it was designed by Paul Baker with the architect James Hull Miller, and they specifically designed it in this very, very flexible way. So you could have theater in the round if you put your actors down at the bottom of the pit, or you can have the chairs in the pit and you can have your proscenium. And I didn't know this until I started working there, but you can put your chairs on the stage and turn them backwards, and all the levels are now your stage in the opposite direction.
I mean, I've been to numerous productions, and now that you explain it
Isn't
to
that
me,
amazing?
that all makes sense to me.
So in this book, it kind of outlines, it does a beautiful drawing of all these theaters across the world, including the Roman Colosseum, all of the theaters in London's West End, the Festival Theatre in Canada, where I'm from, and all of these great big auditoriums. And there's like little Waco Civic Theatre, because we're so special.
Well, we're cutting edge. We are so cutting edge. Yes.
No idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, but it does give, and this sort of shout out to all the mid to smaller sized towns in Texas. There is ingenuity and there is talent.
Yes.
And you go to a big budget film and you study where, if you wiki where these actors are from, they're not all from LA or New York City. They're from, wherever, Texas or wherever, Missouri, and they probably got their start in a theater like you're talking about.
So funny enough, of course, that's one of our own, and we're approaching the 100-year anniversary of this person as well, making his Broadway debut, and that is Jules Bledsoe.
Okay.
Wow.
In 1927, so we're getting there, a couple years, and it'll be 100 years. But in 1927, he was given the contract for Showboat on Broadway, and he was the very first person to sing Old Man River.
Right. And so Old Man River is it's part of the American songbook when people talk about that.
It is.
And I know
Don't sing it, Steve.
No, we will not. We will not be singing.
I don't know. Now I kind of want him.
No. I have this deep voice, but I have no control over it, none whatsoever. But it's something that's immediately recognizable to people older than I don't know what age, but we all fall into that category. And was probably covered a million times. And you say Jules was the first to do it on Broadway.
Yes.
And so he is a Wacoan.
Absolutely.
Right? So
yes.
tell us a little bit about how he got his start.
Right. So
singing in Waco.
His grandfather started New Hope Baptist Church in Waco, Texas, and he learned music from his family, from his grandmother, I think one of his aunts, and that's how he started with music. He graduated valedictorian from Central Texas Academy here in Waco, and then he went on to Columbia Medical School. But he decided to take voice lessons, and that's when he decided he was going to pursue a career in opera instead. Yes. So medicine or opera, yeah.
Right.
I do love how so many starts of people, they start from the church and then also like small civic theaters or from their school. Family
members
from their
community
family
support.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, so somebody that I'm going to say that's great, right? But I'm going to say somebody that was an African American that got into Columbia Medical School and then later originated one of the great songs. that's a genius, right? There's
Incredible.
He had natural talent.
that he
Yes.
had multiple natural talents.
But he might not have discovered it if he had not had someone supporting him. I mean,
Exactly.
how many people have that gift and that talent but never get to realize it without a start or a support? Yeah.
And when he came back to Waco, Texas to sing, he had 1,800 people in New Hope Baptist Church that day. 1,800
sure.
people
Well, if
came
you
to
haven't
see
ever
him.
heard the recording, he does have this deep,
It's gorgeous.
beautiful. It's what you hear when you hear Old Man River.
Right.
Yeah.
I won't sing it either.
And
So-
when he gets to the end, and I've heard it so many times in different artists because my undergrad is in musical theater and my graduate degree is in music performance. So lots of opera singers around me. I learned from one of the most famous African American Bess from Porgy and Bess. Her name's Dr. Elizabeth Graham. So that was my voice teacher.
Wow.
So I've heard a lot of music over the years. And when you get to the end of Jules Bledsoe singing Old Man River, the way that he ends it, it just gives you goosebumps from way back in the 1920s. He is still effective today.
Well, and when you think
So you can
about-
Spotify it, right?
You really can,
You can Spotify it. So I'm going to suggest that whenever you cross the Mississippi River, you Spotify Jules
Spotify Jules
Bledsoe singing Old Man River and think of
remember
Waco.
he's from Waco, Texas.
Right.
Exactly.
And, just there's so much more to talk about him being an African American. The time that he broke into opera, there were so many obstacles he had.
In America.
Yes.
I mean, I think if he had been a European,
Right.
it might have been a little bit different, but it was, height of the KKK and all
So
of that.
it was one of the, Showboat, if you study any musical theater history, it was all Ziegfeld Follies before, where all of the glitz and glamour of these beautiful women would come, and it was upscale vaudeville, so variety shows or whatever, and there wasn't any storyline until Showboat. So Showboat, they actually approached Ziegfeld and said, can you produce this? And he was thrilled to get something totally new and to take a storyline and make all of the acting, singing, and dancing actually tell a story instead of just cobbling it together.
And a section or an act and an act. Yeah.
And then not only that, but some of the story is about a woman who was half African American, but she was passing as white, and then what happened when she was hired to work the Showboat when they found out about that, and then she had to be fired. So it was a really serious topic when up till that point everything was frivolous and literally frilly with all of those feathers and glitz and glamour. So they told a really serious story.
And I don't know, but was this one of the first productions where an African American actually got to play the part of an African American?
Yeah, because it was
rather
still
than
the
blackface?
minstrelsy was still going on.
Right.
Exactly. So, and he was one of the first African Americans ever to have a paid contract on a regular basis on Broadway. Right. Yeah, so he really busted through all kinds of barriers, and it was incredible.
Right, and it is so interesting because Waco has a rough racial history that was right around that time,
Exactly.
and the divergence in American society that you see, that he can rise to those heights where there's so much else going on at the same time.
In fact, there's a newspaper article about him in 1930 in a beautiful brand new car that was specially made for him. It was painted blue and green, and it was very, very fancy. And he was driving in Chicago, and he got pulled over, and surely you can't own this
You've
car.
stolen the car, right?
Yeah, so he sued the city of Chicago.
Well, good for him.
I was like, good for him, exactly, exactly.
So, but I think it's sort of hidden in that, and I know that for personal connections, we know that you're going to do To Kill a Mockingbird this year. And I do think that one of the things about theater is it allows an approach to really difficult subjects. And, many, many people love To Kill a Mockingbird, the book, the film, the play, all of those things. But it will make people think.
It will.
About and we have so much unfortunately we still have so much in our world going
We've got
on.
a lot to learn, yeah.
Right, and it's just a different way to have it approached because it's not so direct in terms of what are you doing, it is, but it does make you think, what would I do in that situation
Exactly.
if I was a juror?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so,
and I want to come back to the beauty of community theater. It's not just paid actors, and sometimes you never know who you're getting from the community, and what that community can learn from
right.
that.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Exactly.
right.
And from playing the parts.
Right.
Yes.
Because they would never get the opportunity to play the
Exactly.
part, right?
Exactly.
And so I think community theaters have such an important role in the towns and cities that they're in.
Well, let me ask Kelly this. It seems like such a commitment to be in. Like they're not getting
That's
Jules.
true.
They're not getting the new big blue green car. Right?
No.
So talk a little bit about and it's one thing to have the glory of the lead or whatnot, but the smaller parts and the set designers and
You work all day.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to
Talk a little
yeah.
bit about the volunteers that do this.
I could fill 10 of your episodes with all of the volunteers that we have. They're incredible, absolutely incredible. Like the gift that they give just by bringing their own talent and resources and time and passion towards it. And they do. They were all there. We were all there this morning at 9 a.m. just building sets together because we are putting the Prince of Egypt on together. And it's not just when you have a professional production, there is a professional set design team and then the painters and whatever. Your actor doesn't come in and hold that paintbrush. Whereas in community theater, they definitely do. Yeah.
Okay, see, I'm yet again
we have-
disqualified because I
right?
can't hammer or paint. But
And
go ahead.
Chris Mendlove is one of our characters, and he's one of the assistant DA. So here he was doing paper mache this morning with his daughter, and he's like, "I've never done paper mache before." I'm like, "Welcome, DA. You know, you're doing that today."
So
It's
does
wonderful.
that actually bring the ensemble closer together?
Yes, I really do think it does because we accomplish something, and
Right.
you watch the work of your hands take shape in front of you. Sometimes what we do every day, especially if we work desk jobs
Right.
or executive jobs or lawyer or whatever, you can't see something take shape. You don't watch it unfold right there, right? And to have a group and a collective of people come together and do that together. We are making 2 giant statues of Anubis right now. So and we get to joke about the calf muscles and whether or not they're
Right.
beefy enough for our
Right.
children.
So
But,
the women design it, and then the men build it.
we're all together.
I've also noticed recently you're bringing some of your actors out into the community to kind of advertise in a very unique way, which I hadn't seen. I was at Biddy and Bo's recently, and they
Yeah.
were singing. So
Oh,
tell us a little
good.
bit about how y'all are getting the word out about community theater, because even those who don't travel, who live in the town, it's hard to get people to go unless they know about it.
Right. We even so we just finished My Fair Lady at the end of May, and we have a partnership with HEB. They're a big supporter of ours, and we are so grateful for them. But in the HEB flower section, we went and did the
like,
flower.
I was there that day.
Exactly. So it's just another way that we can get the idea that there's something happening in your town with your neighbors with and you can be a part of it too. The other unique thing about theater and about live theater is that everyone can be involved in some way. If you have no skill on stage whatsoever. Yeah.
I did do a Mark Twain impersonation in the 7th grade talent show. That's the last time. But
Yes, but there's something that you can do because everyone can get trained on pushing the button at the right time to have the projection change, right? And you're still a part of it, and you still get that energy of being involved with other people and just having that collective experience that's unlike anything else. Yeah.
So I think sometimes people think with theater too that it's the jump stage, especially with our young people who are like, I'm going to be involved in theater and I'm going to go out and I really want to be an actor, and sometimes that happens for them, and that's great. But probably more often than not, it doesn't. And so for them to come back with something that they were actually passionate about in the arts, whether it be music or theater or painting or whatever.
or button pushing.
Or button pushing. It's a part of it.
But we're great observers, right?
That's our talent,
It's
is
our
observing.
talent. We're great observers. But it's so nice to know that there is a place where you can come and still pursue your passion even though you didn't make the big time. Right?
So one of the things that Paul Baker wanted when he built the Waco Civic Theater was to have the audience sit in directors' chairs in the space, because he said you're a part of this too. So if you buy a ticket and you sit in one of those chairs, you are also a part of that. And so being patrons of the arts or going to see these shows, you get to be a part of that collective experience and the experience of storytelling and the experience of changing the world one story at a time.
One story, one play at a time. It's an
so
arduous process,
Right.
but
And they are usually nonprofits, so there's a lot behind it. So if you'd like a place to give your money, call Kelly.
yeah.
But it is, I mean, I've learned so much just sitting, even our daughter, she was involved with the Dallas Children's Theater when she was young.
And that was run by Robin.
Yeah,
Yes.
Robin's the best.
And that was her dad was Paul Baker who
that's
designed
right.
it.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Robin is phenomenal.
Yes.
And one of our favorite memories is our oldest daughter danced. And so she loved ballet. And Kendall was in this main stage production. And at the Dallas Children's Theater, kids weren't often in the productions, but there was one that she was in. And so we all go as a family to watch her. And Kelsey's like, okay, are we finished? And we were like, no, we have to wait for Kendall, because Kendall was out signing autographs.
Right. Our 6-year-old or 7 or 8-year-old is signing
Here for
autographs.
it.
That was
Yeah.
great. And the older one was like, you've got to be kidding. I
love it.
That's what community theater does. And it gives confidence.
Yes.
And you get to be a star for a night.
Just
and,
for a minute,
you know
yeah.
what?
Right.
And people want your autograph. I love that.
I don't think they'd want our autograph, but no.
But I'm saying,
Right.
if you were in a production and a kid came up, they think you're like a big time actor. It's got to do something for your confidence.
I will say, in terms of the experience that we started the discussion with, the same young lady we were talking about, our daughter, the first time we went to a Broadway show, we went to see Hairspray, or the first time she went to a Broadway show, and she thought she was big time because she had done the children's theater thing. And I turned and looked at her. Her eyes were that big.
Yes.
And it's one of my favorite memories. And it is that connection you have with, and that's another example of a story that was timely, but it's fun too.
Yes.
So just an awesome experience.
So, Robin, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Why did I call you Robin?
Robin was the other one.
Shout out to Robin Baker. If you ever see this, we loved you then, love you now. Kelly, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so
Well, wait a
Thank you
minute.
so much. What?
We haven't gotten the socials
Oh,
out.
no,
Yes,
we haven't.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
give us all your info.
Right.
Yes,
Waco
we're on
Civic.
Facebook and Instagram and everything is Waco Civic Theater. You'll find us very easily, wacocivictheater.com.
Okay.
And yes, there is a button to donate.
Yes.
And
But-
if you
Yes.
want to buy tickets,
Right.
You can buy right on the website.
Okay,
And,
and-
season memberships are open right now. So you
Okay,
can buy
tell us a little bit about the season.
So we start with, of course, our summer production. Like I said, it's outside of that, but that's going to be in a couple of weeks, and it is epic. I
Okay.
mean, epic.
It's the Prince of Egypt,
Yes,
right?
and we're performing that at the Midway Performing Arts Center because we needed the stage.
Okay.
It's big.
All right.
Yeah. There's a 65 plus cast. So
Okay, so you've bit off a lot for the
we
summer.
did. We sure did.
Okay.
And then we start the season with To Kill a Mockingbird, and then we have one of the first community theater. We were granted the license to do the full production of Disney's Frozen.
Oh, every little
Yeah.
boy and girl.
Right.
And if you come and visit with your kids,
Right.
you'll want to go.
Right.
And then our Christmas production is called Every Christmas Story Ever Told and Then Some. And it's only 3 actors, every single story. So it's hilarious. Hilarious. And then we open the new year with Dolly Parton's 9 to 5.
Oh, wow.
Yes, something very special in the works for that.
Right.
And then we have the Odd Couple, female version. So Neil Simon's Odd Couple. Yeah.
Female version.
Right.
It's good.
Yes.
It's good. Yeah. And then we end this season with Kiss Me Kate.
Oh, that's
Wow,
great.
what a
varied.
Yes.
I love, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Because it appeals. It's not all musicals. It's. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, the Frozen thing, I mean, I think you have to buy the season to get into Frozen, because
Yeah. It's
yes.
going to be popular. We are
Right.
so excited.
I
so
bet.
excited.
I have another question for you. For people who just come to town and they're looking for something to do, if they watch our podcast, we're like, hey, let's look for the Civic Theater. Can they walk up and get tickets? Or
Absolutely.
do you have to order online?
Absolutely, you can walk up any performance and get tickets. Of course, some of them sell out. So.
I'm gonna say, I bet you won't be able to walk up to Frozen.
Frozen will be a hot ticket,
Right.
but yes, we accept walk-ups. But that is a great thing to do, and our calendar's right on our website, and we have something that was really important to me when I started, was to use our beautiful building. We have a gift, and I could go on and on about the history of how we got that building and who supported it here in Waco, but I wanted to use the building. If there's a show that could be put on this weekend, let's do it. So there's everything from Shadowcast to, we have a show coming up called Backwards Broadway. So if you always wanted to sing, you're the lead in, if you wanted to be Elsa, but you're definitely a baritone, today's the day. You can sing "Let It Go" and belt your heart out. Yeah.
I like that. That might need to be my theme song.
So we have all kinds of different shows, and then including our wonderful kids program. They are so talented.
I have so many kids who have been in it, and like I said, there's a show I have to come up that's coming soon that I have to go to. It's on my calendar.
Yes.
So, anyway, Kelly, thank you so much. Kelly, who I like to call Robin. But it is Kelly MacGregor from Waco Civic Theatre. And, we talk about in Texas 10, get out there, get to know your own town, get to know the towns you go to. Be sure to follow us.
Right.
I'm going to pass that to you.
Okay, so we would love for you to subscribe to us, like, comment, do all the social media things. On Texas10.com, we will make an effort to make sure that the civic theaters in each town that we talk about is represented with a hyperlink to them, so you can go as we've been talking about. So if you're in Waco, don't spend the night in your hotel room.
No,
and if there's a play going on, and especially if you're traveling with kids, and when I say kids, I mean kids to young adults. I just think it's such a great experience. You
don't have to go to New York City.
You do not have to go to New York City.
Right in the town you're in.
And you may see the next Jules Bledsoe. You never know, right?
Exactly.
There's history being made in civic theaters and community theaters all across the state. And so continue to follow us on Texas 10 and get out there and enjoy the towns that you're in.
Old Man River.
Oh, no.
No? Okay, I'm out.
And I love this land. It takes my breath away. From Palo Duro to the Gulf Coast plain. From the heart of the hill country to the piney wood shade. I love this land. It takes my breath away.